Hello my minions, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tina. I believe in cruelty-free. I mainly buy cruelty-free. I do not throw away products that I own that are not cruelty-free. I think that is a waste and damages the environment more than it fixes anything. But this whole controversy with Wet n Wild, I think people are well-intentioned and want to do the right thing. I am a huge animal lover. This is Flower. She is a disabled dog. She has a hole in her head right here where her fontanelle didn't close all the way. So she is tiny. She weighs about 5 pounds. She has some very special needs, and she's a sweet, loving dog, but she's not exactly the smartest dog in the world, but she is a total love bug. Down here, bouncing up and down, he's my best buddy ever. Yeah, he is not a rescue. I actually got him from his dad, who I owned until he died at 17. He was my baby. His mom was Sapphire, who died just last summer. She was my son's therapy dog and did enormous good for him. And this is Pumpkin. Pumpkin is, say, about 18 years old, maybe older. We've had him forever. He can no longer take care of his own fur. We do that stuff for him. I believe when you get an animal, you have it for life. I don't like it when companies test on animals for no reason. Is totally jealous that I have a cat. He loves the cat, just way too much. This is going to be a get ready with me style video. I am going to be using almost all Wet n Wild product. This is their matte face primer, and then I have their rose one. I like this one to fill in stuff. So this is their hydrating balm stick. We're going to put that down first, see what that does. I have no idea. Feels nice. A little bit about my background. I was one of those kids who did not relate well to people and other kids when I was a kid. I had animals. I had cats and dogs and mice and rats, gerbils and hamsters. I still have a scar on my finger from where a hamster bit me. I had every kind of animal possible. I love animals. Like, oh my God, do I love them. I also was raised with Native American beliefs. To us, every living thing is connected. We all survive by consuming the essence of other living things, and eating plants and their essence is really not much different than eating a lot of animals. It's all about balance to us. And I realize that that is not most people's belief. I'm not trying to make anybody have different beliefs. I'm just telling you a little bit about my beliefs. I also have a pretty extensive background in science as a criminologist. They make you learn that stuff. Oh, this is not what I was hoping for. So this is very lotiony, mattifying. I was hoping for a pore filling one. We're just gonna have to hope for the best. I'm a huge animal lover, and when this whole controversy with Wet n Wild came out, I was just like, oh my gosh. It's everywhere right now. Everybody's talking about it. There's information all over the place. And unfortunately, a lot of this information is inaccurate. There's a lot of mistranslations and people not understanding how the world works. I don't know that I love this, but this is really nice. For this stuff, it was all 50% off. And I finally got 2 of these. Yay! I wanted these so bad. When I saw the whole controversy with Wet n Wild, even though I'm not an exclusively cruelty-free person, I do tend to buy that direction because it aligns with my beliefs that you don't really need to be testing on animals. Especially nowadays, I mean, there's really not much point. This is the Photo Focus foundation stick. I used it the other night, and I was kind of surprised because normally I hate foundation sticks. So this whole controversy comes out about Wet n Wild selling in China. Before the last couple days, I honestly didn't look into the past of Wet n Wild at all. I did a little bit today. I know that some people are not up to date on current events. I have a cousin who lives in China. She is a translator and she teaches people English. That's her job. So she is extremely proficient in Mandarin and actually a couple other dialects from China that I don't know anything about. She is also one of the most cruelty-free advocates I know, because we're friends on Facebook and she sees things that I like or post or whatever. She saw these posts about Wet n Wild in China. I am not gonna speak to whether or not Wet n Wild actually was in China previously to this. It kind of seems weird to me that there would be a couple isolated incidents where Wet n Wild products were found in China. They were sporadic and years apart. I don't think a company would do that. That seems silly. Why would they pick a couple of stores, put their products in them for a couple days, then pull them out? That seems more like somebody got a hold of, Wet n Wild display of stuff and stole it, or then resold it there. The makeup that we buy in the United States in other countries is, oh my god, expensive. Wet n Wild might not seem like a brand you'd go after to make money counterfeiting or whatever in China, but it does in fact happen, weirdly. Kind of surprising, right? I'm not here to defend Wet n Wild's integrity. So if that's what you think I'm doing, that's not. Instead, what I want to talk about, some false assumptions that I see going on online about this whole thing. One of the posts, because I was talking to a person rather extensively about this, and she kept saying, go watch this video, go watch this. And nothing at all that I'm taking away from that person at all. She did a ton of research. I understand that people will research other countries' laws and not pay attention to our own. And that right now is my big thing. This isn't so much about, is Wet n Wild cruelty-free or not? Is any company cruelty-free? By some people's standards, the answer to that is a big fat no. People are saying that because China still says that if something happens, and the way they word it, there's a translation issue there apparently. So people are saying that if there's a complaint, China will then go test Wet n Wild's products on animals. That's not correct. China is not going to go spend $100,000 to test out the eyeliner that gave you pink eye that you think may have been because of Wet n Wild, or the mascara, or the eyeshadow. They're not going to do that. It's going to take a massive outbreak. Here's the thing that people apparently aren't paying attention to or are unaware of. The law that says that they can test products in China if they see a problem with them, basically. They're using a lipstick, and it's a glitter lipstick, and that glitter lipstick was made from plant-based glitter, is a thing apparently, and plants can carry bacteria. So if that bacteria starts causing open wound mouth sores that then are spreadable, that's when the government steps in and says, what the heck is going on? How often does that happen? Very rarely. So I don't have a Wet n Wild brow product. I do have an e.l.f. one. Try to use it because I've got it messed up a little bit. Now people are saying, because China has this worded the way they do, Wet n Wild is still not cruelty-free, or there are different levels of cruelty-free because they're not actually testing on animals, but the government could in China. Well, here's the thing. They can do that in any country, and they will do that in any country. They have done that in the United States. There was an outbreak caused by something back in the 50s, and they pulled the product off the shelf and tested it extensively, including animal testing. Now, I hear people going, but that was the 50s. They are not doing that anymore. No, try again. Just because it doesn't happen often doesn't mean they took that law off the books. They didn't, because it's important. Why is it important, and why am I saying that at any time animal testing would be okay? Well, because there are certain cases and times when I'm a realist. I don't like animal testing, but if animal testing is going to save children and adults and everyone from a lot of suffering and deaths and things, sacrificing a couple of rats is probably going to be okay. I've killed rats before in my life that were in my house around my children when we lived out on this terrible farm that was just overrun. Like, oh my god, and hantavirus was insane. Of course I killed them. What else was I going to do? I was not going to let my child die because I don't like killing things. There has to be a balance. This is true in every country, every single one. Whether or not they address it the same way or not, it's still there. It's still going to be a rule. I can't find my Wet n Wild single. So this is the Smashbox single in nude. I am going to grab this lighter shade here and use that on the inner part of my eye a little bit. So I have 3 of the 4 quads sitting here from my Rebel Rose collection. I don't know what I did with my other one. I also grabbed the blush, but I'm not going to use that. I hate that blush. I'm going to grab this maroon here out of Secret Garden. I'm going to start putting that in my outer corner. As I was saying, I'm a realist. Do I wish we could do away with animal testing completely? Yes, I do. Right now, there are some times when we can't do that. One of those times is when the health of a whole lot of people is at stake. While I can understand us hating that and not wanting that to be the case and working towards not making that be the case, it is scientifically where we are right now. You kind of have to deal with that. I'm going to be posting some information as we go. I keep hearing this, people saying that there's different levels of cruelty-free. I'm sure that that's true. If you're okay with that, you're okay with that. I'm not gonna at all not want to stand on a soapbox and say that I do that, because I try to be as much as possible, but I live in the middle of nowhere. My options are very limited. Certain things you can't buy online at all in some cases. Because I don't have any room to say, hey, you should do this, I'm not going to lecture anybody on how they choose to go through the world. What I am going to say is this theory or thought that because we live in the United States, we're somehow exempt, and that our products here that say cruelty-free are cruelty-free. If you consider what's going on in China to not be cruelty-free, then I'm sorry, but what we do in the United States is the same exact thing, so therefore none of it's cruelty-free. If your hardline stance is the government can't test on any cosmetic products for any reason, then you're out of luck. In every country that I'm aware of, that is the law. They keep that there on purpose. They don't advertise it. They don't say they do it, and they use a lot of, tricky wording and hide those places where you can get that information because people don't like it. So I'm taking this darker red and I'm just putting that over in my outer corner. It really bothers me when people start thinking that because we live in the United States, we're maybe more activistic than in other countries, we're better. We're not. You may be a better person than I am. Somebody in China is definitely a better person than I am. There's probably lots of people who are better than you are somewhere else, like those Buddhist monks in India who are always vegan and don't use anything at all and walk around in orange robes. Those guys are pretty freaking amazing. I am not one of those guys. I can't claim that. And if you're watching this video, neither can you. I know that right now I might be making you really mad and you're gonna go look this up, which is why I'm providing sources. There will be links below. So I'm gonna take my essence and I'm just gonna do kind of a little bit of a cut crease. I think it's really wrong, and I think it's a misinformation and a translation issue. I think both of those things are happening right now. Becca said it doesn't mean or say that if there's a complaint, it has to be a government complaint, or if you made a complaint to the Senate and it actually got there. It's more like that, although they have a very different government, so it goes right over my head when she tries explaining all of it. I understand that when you translate things or see things and then you think, well, no, that's still not good enough. They're still testing on animals. If you consider that testing on animals, if you consider the fact that what they're saying is if your product causes a major problem in our country, an outbreak or worse, a contagious thing, something like E. coli or whatever, we will test on animals. You're being very naive to think that our country doesn't do the exact same thing. We do the exact same thing. That is exactly, like if you actually, read it the way it's supposed to be, and then look at the FDA site, they're saying the exact same thing. If that's the case, then nothing is cruelty-free, and that means you can't wear makeup. Now, that's not going to happen for me. I understand people wanting to get away from this stuff, and I understand people mistrusting other countries. They mistrust us just as much, by the way. They think the same thing of us over there, that we think of them and that we're dishonest, all sorts of things. They do. You live in the culture you live in, and when you don't understand another culture, you tend to blame it. I don't have a bronzer by Wet n Wild, but I do have this one from Pop, which is very inexpensive. People keep changing the rules, and they aren't understanding that China changed their laws, and that when China changed their laws, they changed them to be very similar to the ones we have. Now they're written in a different language, and they use their own government speech. If you've ever read those things, kind of a pain in the ass. So I decided I'm not using the Wet n Wild blush because I hate it. So I'm using this one from Pacifica. It just really bothered me when I got online and I got reading people's comments and their statements. It seems like people are looking for reasons to blame people in China for, the reason they're doing the things they're doing, which were the same laws we had in the United States not that long ago. Their government even messier than ours, so it's even harder to get the stuff changed. The fact that they did change, I think people should be rewarding that instead of attacking them still. And that's what it feels like. It feels like, okay, well, China did this then, and so they're not trustworthy, and they're not allowed to change and be trustworthy and try to do better. We're not going to trust them when they do that. Our country does that. Every country should do that. If you're a good country, you should do that. It really bothers me. I am very respectful of other people's cultures. I wish people would be more respectful of my culture. I wish people would be more respectful of other people in general and their beliefs. You can't learn anything or become a better person and more worldly if you're unwilling to accept that other people's beliefs might be valid. Otherwise, you sound like my kid's racist grandma who still calls the Japanese the Japs. Just terrible, terrible things that I don't want my kids to hear. And, it was an ongoing argument with her about how she talked to my kids, because there are some things you just shouldn't do. And if you're striving for cruelty-free, you should also be cruelty-free to people. Right now, it really feels like we're very judgmental and unwilling to see the strides and changes they've made. Their changes are very similar to ours. So that's my point to this whole video. If you're saying that what they decided to do, which is pretty much the same thing every country does, because they say that as a safety net. It's if shit goes wrong and we get something and it's killing people and we have to figure out what's in it, then we're going to use whatever we're going to use to do that. If you can't see the logic in that, I don't know what to tell you. And you can say, and I won't even disagree with you, that animal lives, they not only matter, they should be sacred and loved, certainly appreciated. And if you still, I don't care, I'm not buying from Wet n Wild, I don't care. No skin off my nose, I don't have any stock in Wet n Wild. But I want you to be fully aware, fully cognizant, fully understanding that you're saying one thing and doing another if you're still buying makeup with that belief. And boy, I know I'm going to get hate for that. I'm using my Smashbox eyeliner because I love it. It's the one sitting here. One last thing that I have to bring up. If you are believing everything PETA tells you, I have a real problem with PETA. So I'm using this highlighter from the Crystal collection, which is a very pretty highlighter. Very soft though, it's like a Super Shock shadow. I have this mystifying matting powder from Lunatic Cosmetic Labs. I understand if you think I'm flat out wrong and you don't believe what I'm saying. I'm going to have people saying, but, they did this, and this. I am not here to sit here and say that I know every damn little thing Wet n Wild did. I do not. As I said before, this video isn't exactly in defense of Wet n Wild. It's more in defense of any company, or maybe opening your eyes to what's really going on. I think right now people have their eyes shut. They just don't know. They're ignorant to the facts of the world. These are the Crystal, they're like a highlight, but they're not a highlight. I don't know. I watched As Told by Jenny put this all over her face and that looked amazing. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna do my mascara. It is not Wet n Wild. I'll be right back. I did just put on this like color changing balm that's menthol. from Tarte. I fixed this brow a little bit and put a little bit of essence along the brow line, and that's about it. So here's my final thoughts. I am begging you, if you have Wet n Wild products, please do not throw them away or destroy them. I do not care if you disagree with a brand. That's fine, you can do that. What I am begging you not to do is destroy our environment any further, which is the truest form of animal cruelty, because you're taking away their environment. So if you have products you don't want to use for whatever reason, please donate them, give them to a friend, whatever. Do not throw them away. Don't destroy them because you're mad. Because all you're doing is taking all their plant life and minerals and work time and the crap that goes into the environment to make it and making it worthless. You just threw all that effect on our planet in the garbage and made your carbon footprint bigger. And that is the one thing, if you're an animal lover, that should be your concern. I cannot stress that enough. Please don't do that. If you want to give it away, please do so. If you don't want to use it, that's okay. It's even commendable that you're standing by your convictions. Please don't destroy our environment because you're angry right now. Do something better and pass it along to somebody else, and simply don't repurchase from that brand or person again. Your money does talk, and it is your best way to get your point across. As for Wet n Wild, I will continue purchasing from them. I think that they made some mistakes. I don't like the mistakes they made, but I understand how they got made to begin with. I choose to hope for the best for people and that they're not lying and covering up. We will see in the days ahead if that's true or not. And if they choose to keep lying, then my stance on this will definitely change. I will stop buying from them because I do not support liars. You want to piss me off? Lie to me. I cannot stand people who lie. It's my biggest pet peeve. And it's like expecting Bill Gates to know every single thing that's going on in software production at the Microsoft building in Kirkland, Washington. He's not going to know that. He's just not. I don't think it was a cover-up because they did come out and say it, and they owned it, what they had done. And if they wanted to cover it up, they could have just kept saying, no, it's not us. And very likely could have got away with it. That's my opinion. Please have your own opinion, research, and look into this stuff. Sources that will have been coming up along as I talk to you guys and down below, instead of trusting my judgment or anyone else's. People see other people on here and assume they know what they're talking about. Well, they might know what they're talking about in one area, but what they might not know is that there was this mistranslation, or they might not know about this law over here or that law over there, because it wasn't something they thought to look at. That's just my opinion. Please make your own. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you later. Bye!